Hey guys, welcome to another episode of my Kerbal Space Program tutorial. Today I think we're going to try and get to the moon. I'm going to walk you through a rocket that I've made here. It's going to seem a little ridiculous because I like building ridiculous rockets. But what we've got here, so we started with our pod, obviously. It's a one Kerbal pod. We've got these little solar panels on here. They extend, they look really pretty when you're up in the air. A little parachute so that he survives the return trip. They had just updated the game, so these actually look a little bit different. This right here is actually those decouplers that we were looking at the other day. So that looks a little bit different. You can also see I've got a little heat shield in here. That's mostly just for fun because I like building things a little bit more realistically but also ridiculously. We've got our advanced inline stabilizer, and that's gonna make it easier to control a little bit. We've got a little rechargeable battery bank so that we know we have enough energy to continue controlling our rocket. And then we've got here, this is an RCS fuel tank. I don't think I've gotten into this yet. What these little guys are here, they're RCS thrusters, and those basically they shoot out a certain kind of fuel. Like, you can pretty much just treat it like compressed air almost. they shoot out little jets of this propulsion stuff that helps you control which direction you're facing. That's why they got 4 nozzles on here. You can kind of control which direction you're facing based on how those fire. And those are done with various buttons on the keyboard. I think there's like 10 different controls you can use for those. So we'll not get into that yet. But I got a little 1.25 meter fuel tank here and a little Terrier engine on the bottom. I'll show you. There it is there. You can see it. These are landing struts because we're going to land on the moon. The G button deploys them. And this large part here is going to be fully detached. And this is where we start to get a little bit into the more ridiculous side of what our rocket looks like. We have this 1.25 meter to 2.5 meter adapter here because we want a little bit more power to get us out of the atmosphere of Kerbin. And we got a lot of fuel here just because I like building big rockets. You know that from the last video. So we got 2 of these big fuel tanks, and this is where it starts to get really ridiculous. I put on a bunch of these little flea boosters here just because I think it'll be fun. And I also wanted to demonstrate, these are those radial decouplers, the ones that stick out from the rocket. Those are pretty fun. But I want to demonstrate these Sepratron boosters here, and what those do is they pull these fleas away from the rocket as we detach them. You can see here. Oh, I tried to have them on the same step here as our decouplers. So this will happen at the same time. These will detach and these will activate and kind of pull away at the same time. And then on the bottom we have our classic mainsail engine because I love it so much. Those guys are not on the same stage as this. It's one thing you always want to double check is your staging before you head out from the vehicle assembly building. And there's our beautiful monstrosity of a rocket. One thing I didn't quite mention, I do have some winglets on the bottom here, some little fins to keep it stable after these detach. So it should be a stable rocket. Sometimes the longer rockets like this, the physics behave a little differently with them, so we'll see how that goes. They tend to kind of snake out and explode on you, but we'll give it a try. Seems pretty stable. It didn't bounce around at all when the physics of the game loaded. Let's give this a shot and see what happens. Oh, we're taking off pretty quick there. That's okay. That's okay. I like it. You can see, watch these Sepratrons go here. Boom. And there we go. Beautiful. Those are going to explode. In career mode, you definitely have to worry about destroying your buildings as you launch. You don't have to worry about that in sandbox mode, but you have to pay for the buildings. Oh, let's watch them all explode. Boom. And there they go. You have to pay for the buildings if you destroy them with pieces of rocket that have fallen off. So that's why I like to play in sandbox mode. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff, and you can kind of just goof around. So far, a very stable rocket. I'm pretty impressed with it. It does seem to have spun out a little bit, so I'm going to quickly correct that a bit here. And we're going to do this. We're actually going to start tilting over. I think it's towards 90 degrees that we turn. Hopefully I'm right about that and we don't have to correct our orbit while we're in orbit, because that's a huge pain in the butt and it takes a lot of fuel. More fuel than I usually bring with me, so I don't know. And that's saying something, because I bring way too much fuel usually. It's actually, a lot of the time, it holds me back from getting where I'm trying to go because the fuel is heavy. But that's okay. This will be plenty to get us to the moon. Let me take a look at our trajectory here. It's a little steep. Ooh, interesting. Looks like that graphic. They changed some of the graphics here too. This is my first time playing since the new update. A little bit of a steep trajectory here. I'm gonna try and flatten it out a little bit, just by burning even to the horizon here. You can see what that looks like when I open it up this way. So our apoapsis is in space. That's always a good sign. The reason you want to flatten out your trajectory as much as possible is just because it's a bit more fuel efficient. Again, at this point won't matter because I brought a ton of fuel with me, and we're going to be jettisoning it, most of it, before we actually get to the... Oh no, what have I done? I didn't actually make that do anything. We're going to be jettisoning most of the fuel before we actually land on the moon, because those landing gears are just on our last stage there. That is as near a perfect orbit as you could want. You can see our RCS thrusters boosting us over into position, and now they'll slow us down as we approach our maneuver position. There we go. And now we're in position. And we're going to time warp a little bit just to get us to our maneuver quicker. There we go. Now we're going to blast full speed towards our maneuver. And that should get us where we need to go. And you can see with the camera change there, that just means that we're in orbit. We're not going to fall back into the planet. Beauty! So you can see that here's our destination, the moon. We're going to go ahead and set that as target. It brings up these kind of things here. That just shows your inclination. That's not going to matter for us right now. Oh, interesting. Ascending. You can warp to different places now. Interesting. What we are going to do, though, is we are going to give a maneuver that gives us a lot of distance out there. That's what we're going to need. And you're going to want to play with it until it gives you this kind of... This is called an encounter over here. And that just means that we're getting close enough to enter its... They call it a sphere of influence. It just means that we're going to be close enough to it that its gravity is going to affect us. And if you set your focus on the moon, you can see this is where the trajectory is going to go. So now, if you take a look at your maneuver over here, you can kind of play around with it, see if you can get yourself a little bit... Oh boy, a little bit closer. What did I do? Goodness. Get yourself a little bit closer to the object you're attempting to encounter. There we go. Now that's a lot of fuel to burn up, but we have it. Most of the time it's not going to be worth it, but we have that fuel on hand, no problem. Ooh, one thing I want to do before I forget is I gotta get these. It's tough when it's spinning. I gotta extend these solar panels. A, it looks beautiful, and B, I don't want to run out of electric charge. We have enough battery power on it that I don't think we would in one night. but I don't want to anyways. Look at it. Beauty. Alright, we are focused on our maneuver direction, so I'm gonna time warp a little bit just to get us to the sweet spot. There we go. Coming up on our maneuver here. And get ready. We're gonna burn. You can see here, this tells us how much meters per second of delta V we need, and over here it's showing us how much we have left. So this will actually probably be just enough to get us our maneuver. Yeah. Oh, I went past our maneuver. Oh, at this point we're going to crash into the moon. I'll tell you what, we'll go retrograde a little bit. Actually, we'll point ourselves back at the maneuver node because we went too far. The maneuver node just gives us the opposite direction. So we'll do a little bit that way, and it should pull us back out of the moon. Because as you can see right here, this yellow line, that's our trajectory. That will be where we end our lives if we don't fix ourselves a little bit. So we'll do this. Hopefully we have enough fuel in this. Yeah, okay. 8,000 meters. Well, tell you what we can do, because we're going to be getting rid of this anyways, we will jettison that. See, now we have our beautiful rocket separating there. Maybe I should have done that in sunlight. We'll time warp a little bit. You can see it there. There we go. Bye-bye forever. You might crash into the moon. I don't know what the highest mountain on the moon is, so I would rather be a little bit higher up than 10,000 meters. It doesn't look like we'd hit anything, but just in case, I'm going to use our RCS a little bit. Because we're so much lighter with all this stuff gone, we can use our RCS a little bit and just boost ourselves a little bit this way, and that'll give us a little bit more height, and that's really all we need. We'll give it that much. Alright, so let's get rid of this. And let's enjoy the view as we approach the moon. You can see it right out here. We're coming for you, buddy. I'm time warping quite a bit, just because we can and we want to. I think that's the moon that we're going to. Yeah, it's getting bigger. There we go. And now, it slowed us down to 50 times time warp automatically, because we're officially within this sphere of influence. Now we're at a place where we can get around the moon. And wow, look at that. If we didn't do anything, we'd actually get a gravity assist from the moon, and it would rocket us out of Kerbin's orbit and put us in orbit around the sun. So we can't afford to make that mistake. We're going to put maneuver node right at periapsis here, and we're going to burn retrograde. We need to slow ourselves way down if we want to be in orbit around the moon. And that is looking fair. It's circular enough, and I'm hoping that we have enough fuel to get ourselves on the surface and back. I don't know. We'll give it a shot. Sorry if you can hear my daughter. She's being a little rangy today. That's okay though. It's all good. We are actually, before we time warp, we're going to face ourselves to our maneuver node, and we are going to time warp now. And you can see as we come, we're actually kind of heading in this direction, but because the moon is moving in this direction, it kind of gives us that kind of parabolic effect on our trajectory. That's very fast. That makes me a little uncomfortable. No! It can't be a full minute of burn, is it? Okay, 25 seconds. Okay, that's a bit more reasonable. If it's a full minute of burn, I don't think we have the fuel for that. Yeah, you can see, for some reason my mouse isn't showing up over here, but I'll highlight it in the video. In the video editing, over here it shows we have 1 minute 52 seconds of burn. So, just judging by the time that we have to burn, I think that'll be enough to get us back to Kerbin. So that's looking good. We'll time warp a little bit more toward our node. I just wanted to talk about that feature over here that Kerbal Engineer Redux has. Again, that's an add-on that I would definitely recommend that you pick up if you want to play Kerbal Space Program a little bit more. Not really necessary until after you've played a little bit though. So we're going to burn as hard as we can. Again, this little rocket here, not a lot of thrust on it, but quite fuel efficient. You can see just this teensy amount of fuel, and it's dropping pretty slow. And you see with the camera, it pulled us into orbit. The camera kind of changes when you get pulled into orbit. And done. I really don't want to waste any more fuel, because I am a little bit worried. I'm not that worried. I'm a little bit worried, not that worried. What we're going to do now, because we have this nice stable orbit around the moon, it's more efficient, I believe, to burn off our fuel here and kind of come in with that kind of very horizontal drop. So that's what we're going to do there. I'm going to face our maneuver node, and we're going to go here. I think it's more fuel efficient to do it that way because you're already moving as slow as you ever will at apoapsis. Then you can burn off as little velocity as possible to get down to the planet's surface. So here we go. We're coming up on our maneuver node, and again, this one isn't that precise. It's a 2-second full burn. Yeah, see, I missed it, but that's okay. It's not. We can kind of watch it here, and whatever we're comfortable with. That's even good enough there. It's off, but that's okay. We just want to land. And you might get to a point where you're more picky about where you want to land. I'm not. I don't really want to land on that ridge of that crater, but we'll see what happens. We'll have to slow ourselves down laterally anyways, so I don't think we will end up landing on that crater. And we can always decide where we want to land as well. So you can see... oh, there's the moon. I did pick the light side of the moon because I like being able to show this kind of stuff in video. And also, if you're not landing on water, you definitely want to land on the day side of the planet because it's pretty gnarly to try and find flat ground in the dark. There we go. We're coming around on the flat side. We're getting pretty close already. I love it. We are going to face retrograde because that's our speed relative to the planet, and we eventually want that to be 0. So we're going to face that direction. And we're going to time warp just a little bit. It's going to make us stop time warping as we get lower and lower, so we don't have to worry too much about impacting the planet. You do have to worry about that sometimes when you're doing like 1,000 times time warp. If you're like out in space, and your course is on a collision course with a planet, and you're time warping 1,000, you might impact that planet. The game might not have the time to think to slow you down. But when you're going relatively slowly like this, you don't have to worry about that. Alright, see our surface velocity slowing way down. I am worried. I am worried about our fuel, but that's okay. If we end up stranded on the moon, we ended up stranded on the moon. There's not much we can do about that. We're slowing way down here. Alright. Now we're slowly gonna drop. Our monopropellant is looking good. We've only used 29 units of monopropellant, which is the stuff that helps stabilize with our RCS thrusters, and we still have 101 units left. That's plenty. And honestly, we can kind of use that to give us an extra bit of boost if we're worried. Oh geez, we need our landing gear out. Here we go. If we need a little bit extra boost that our rocket can't give, if we just need a little bit more, we can use our RCS thrusters for that. We're going to slow ourselves nice and gently. Patience is key with this. Spent a lot of time getting here. We don't want to ruin it now. Oof. Yes. And just like that, we are on the moon. Alright. And what we can do now is we can hit EVA, which stands for extravehicular activity. And you can see you got a little bit of controls there. Let go. And he'll fall. He'll be okay. Gravity's pretty low here. They're pretty resilient. They do die if you go fast enough with them. And you can actually hit RCS with this guy, and he has a little jetpack, which is a lot of fun. And yeah, you can kind of fly around with that on the moon because the gravity's low enough. You can't do it back on Kerbin because the gravity's too strong. We are going to plant a flag. Pardon me. Here comes our little flag. Kerbal Space Program. Site name. First moon landing. In case you weren't aware, this is how they spell moon in the game. Just a fun little thing. Plaque text. This was the first one. This was a triumph. I'm making a note here. Huge success. Am I too late on the cake is a lie jokes? Absolutely I am. Nobody finds those funny anymore, but that's okay. Where's my RCS? There it is. So that's landing on the moon. Why are we burning RCS so constantly? The jetpack can be pretty hard to control. There we go. Alright, let's get back in, find out how much we've burned. Oh boy. Okay. Oh! Disaster! Disaster! No! I didn't... Oh, see, this is why you always want to autosave too. I accidentally hit the spacebar and completely detached our pod. Huh. Well, I think we're going to end this one here because I was going to take us back to Earth, but I might have to land us back here and start the next video on returning to Kerbin because I just made a huge mistake and I did not autosave at all. This is a good time to teach you all a lesson about the F5 button is quick save and holding the F9 button quick loads. So I should have quick saved when we got into orbit. I should have quick saved when we got into orbit around the moon. I should have quick saved when we landed on the moon. I didn't do any of those. So what we're going to do is we're going to have some fun just with our SAS systems. And we can go real fast. Boom. There goes our heat shield and our parachute. We still got that one. Oh, nothing. Oh, I thought it was going to survive. It didn't. It was a huge success. It is no longer. But sometimes that's the way it ends up in Kerbin. Sometimes you just end up with explosions. And you know, I'm happy either way. We got to the moon, and I think in the next video we'll show you how to get back. I think that one's going to be a pretty short video, but that's okay. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm Brady's brother Riley. Have a good one. Alright, welcome back to our final segment of getting to the moon and back. In this episode, we're going to try and get back to Kerbal. I don't think we'll have enough fuel to do it, but we'll give it a shot. I know which direction now to head to get back to Kerbal in the most efficient manner possible. And we just want to give full burn. There's no atmosphere to worry about here. We want to give full burn this way. And I'll show you on the map in a second why we want to go this way. We actually want to go a little bit more up, if possible. Yeah, I'll show you on the map now. The reason we want to go this way is because the moon is heading this way, and we want to kill as much velocity as possible. So we want to go this way so that we drop back towards Kerbin. And I still don't know if we're going to be able to do it. But we're going to burn all of our monopropellant, giving it the old college try here. And now I know as well to bring more fuel next time. I don't think it's going to happen. You know, I'll probably just put this at the end of the first video to show you what not to do to get back from the moon. And then we'll just I'll put a bigger rocket on the moon and We'll do a whole other video on getting back. Yeah, making a bigger rocket's always the better option anyways. That's okay. It's always okay. We try, we experiment. If it doesn't work out, that's okay. It's all about the learning experience. Look at that. We actually got farther than I thought we would. We're going to crash down on the dark side of the planet. We'll give it a bit of light as we explode. Let's just do that. And now we come out from the rocky body. We slow down. We slow down and we start falling back. Beautiful. You're going to see a nice, beautiful, classic Kerbal Space Program explosion. That's about all you're going to see because a little galaxy up in the middle screen there. But yeah, that's all we're going to see because it is very dark on this side of the moon. We're going to time warp just a little bit. And any second now. Oh, there it goes. Goodbye and good night. Thanks again for joining me. I'm Brady's brother Riley. You have a good one.